Hello, hi, and welcome back to Behind the Lab. We're glad you joined us again. My name is Tom Morrissey. I'm the Artistic Director of Theater Now.
And I'm Colleen Harris. I'm the Associate Managing Director. This is our series where we talk to some of the creative people that we have in our Musical Writers Lab. And today we're thrilled to introduce you to Jonathon Lynch.
Jonathon Lynch was involved with our very first sound bites all the way back in 2013 when we first started. We were thrilled to meet him then, and he's one of our lab members. And you're going to get to meet him today, and we'll talk to him a little bit about what he's doing and what his process is.
For more on Jonathon, you can check out the links in the video description where you can also read more about Theater Now's Writers Lab. Tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Jonathon Lynch. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm currently living in Manhattan, New York.
And how did you get involved with Theater Now?
So back when Theater Now was doing their first Sound Bites festival, I saw the ads about it and I thought that it was really intriguing. So I talked to my collaborator and said, hey, this would be a really cool thing for us to do. And she said, yeah, let's totally do this. We were writing a hip hop musical at the time about graffiti artists, and it didn't end up going anywhere, but we wrote two really good character defining songs. So we thought, okay, so to write a 10-minute musical out of this and like just put it on its feet and see if we're even capable of doing this sort of a show, let's write a third song that's going to sort of wrap them up together, like introduce conflict and sort of pit them at odds against each other, and they get to resolve it in the course of the song. And we did it, and all of a sudden it's this 10-minute musical, and we're like, yeah, let's submit it to Soundbites. This is great. So we did that, and we got into the first Soundbites workshop, and we performed it, and it was a fantastic experience. We loved working with everybody involved in the production and the process and the company. And so I've just sort of kept informed about what's going on since then. And voila, I'm here.
What inspired you to get involved with musical theater in the first place?
My dad, in my formative years, was a musical theater performer. Like since then, he's gone on to be a director and a choreographer and a producer and all of this crazy stuff, right? But during that time, it was always about like going off and seeing him in a show and like seeing him on tour when he did Cats and Les Mis. And I always thought that what he did was so exciting, and that they had sort of built up this enormous and fantastic community around all of the things that like he was doing. And that really kind of appealed to me. And so I started choir and piano lessons when I was in kindergarten and just sort of kept them up through college. When I went to college, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a neuroscience major or a theater major until I looked at the prerequisites and decided that theater was for me. So I performed and I music directed and I composed through college, and that sort of leads me on to where I'm at right now.
And where he is right now is a sought-after music director and arranger, a faculty member at AMDA in New York, and a prolific and well-respected composer and lyricist. One of his recent works is the Baroque Cycle, which he describes as a modern-day song cycle from the 17th century. This hour-long, one-woman musical theater song cycle is based on Baroque suite music forms. In it, we see a young soprano having a hard time adulting. She's stressing out about every little thing that comes her way. She's not having any success in her auditions. Ultimately, she learns the secret to happiness isn't retreating into some idealized past like the Baroque era, but in fully embracing the present. And maybe she also learns that Baroque music is more complicated than she originally thought. Let's hear the opening number from the show, which introduces us to our poor, harried soprano, played here by Sarah Ziegler with Nick Ferla on piano.
Why was I born in these modern times? There's too much noise in the air, ants everywhere.
Talk to me about the Musical Writers Lab and what you enjoy most about it.
So the Musical Writers Lab is this fantastic group of writers who are all coming together to just help each other out under Tom's auspices. It's the day-to-day structure is that we sit in a room and we sort of like build this community. We talk with each other about how things are going, any struggles that we may have encountered in the past couple weeks, anything that's been going really well and that we're proud of, basically what we've been working on. And then we present songs to each other and get some great feedback. And something that's really great about this feedback is that we are all incredibly skilled writers in this group. Like the craft from everybody is just top notch. But we're all coming at it from these wildly different angles and in these very different perspectives about what musical theater writing could be, like very well-crafted musical theater writing could be. So anytime I present something at the lab, it's just fantastic for me because I get to see it from all these different angles that I never would have considered from my own perspective. So that is something I enjoy a lot about the lab. But maybe the thing that I enjoy most about it is how it's sort of this like one-stop shop for musical theater writer development. Most of the other labs and workshops and things like that that I've been a part of have been about one thing and doing one thing really well, but just one thing. So like this workshop over here will like give you fantastic critique about the artistry of your piece and about the structure and the form and what you're trying to say and the broader themes and do these moments even work. And that's invaluable in its way. And other workshops that I've been a part of have been like, yes, great, crank out the song. Here's the deadline. It's going up in front of people on this date, you know, regardless of whether or not it's ready. So you better have something good. And that is also invaluable, by the way. And then there are other workshops that are like, yeah, we're going to put up a workshop of your show and it's going to like, we're going to have it with this equity contract. And we're going to put it in this sort of a space and location. And these are the rehearsal things we're giving you. Also an invaluable sense. But I wouldn't feel comfortable going up to the group that were so much about like, hey, like this is the nuts and bolts about how to write a musical and say, okay, cool. Now can I get a reading of my piece in front of all of you? Can I get a workshop of it? And they would probably say, not really our thing, but good luck. Or like the people for the workshop, you know, I could always say like, hey, like, I don't know, is this moment working very well? Like it's something's not sitting right to me about it. I'm not sure if it advances the plot in the way that I want it to. And they might very well say like, well, sure, I guess we can help you with that. That's not really what we do, but okay, cool. Like let's go for it, which is nice. But something that has been so critical to me about this lab is that I can go to the lab and say, okay, there's a moment that I need help with. Artistically, structure, format, things like that. And they will come back to me and they will say, cool, great, let's do this. Or I can say, hey, oh my gosh, I need legal help with a piece. I need help working through a contract about something. And they'll say, cool, great, we've got the resources to help you with that too. Or I can say, I need a reading or a workshop or production. And they'll say, great, let's work through it. And I love that so much because it's, writers have needs everywhere. And to have all of them being capable of being addressed in this lab is such an important thing to me.
How many musicals have you written?
So I had to go back through some archives about this one to figure out how many, because like it's tricky. Like, you know, I don't want to get all weird and academic or anything, but like, what is a musical? So, if I were to go with the broadest possible definition, and that is like musicals that are at least 10 minutes long, that or like maybe full-length shows, ones that are in development and not like and are fully completed. Ones that are about an hour long or like entire full-length evenings with 2 acts and an intermission and all that stuff. Ones that I collaborated on, the things that I wrote the music for, or ones that I did everything for. The grand total is 18.
And one of those musicals is called Powers, or at least it is for now. This musical is still in development, so we're getting a peek into early stages. In this show, superpowers are real, and they're activated when you sing from the heart. So what if you could stop time when you sing, or change the weather, or fly? It's every musical theater kid's dream. In the show, Kit discovers this new world when she realizes her singing has been speeding up time at work. Now she has to learn how to control her superpowers responsibly before the world is taken over by a powerful villain, one who could control the mind of mobs of people with just a song. Speaking of that supervillain, his name is Kevin. He's Kit's boss, and we're about to hear his song. Concerned that Kit seems immune to his mind control by singing superpowers, Kevin makes an all-out attempt to exert control and get Kit to do one simple thing: smile. Singing here is Neil McLinden, who Jonathon assures us is absolutely not a supervillain in real life.
You know how they say, smile and the world smiles with you? I want you to start smiling more. Smile. I'd like you to smile. I think you should take a break from misery for a while. Laugh. Or maybe just grin. And look, it's so much better when you lift your chin. When life gets you down and your mood is less than great, it's easy to frown, but it's better when you celebrate, and so you should smile. I need you to smile. Your boss is telling you to lose the blues and just smile. Oh, no, that won't do. Look, I'm sorry for prying. I understand your reticence. But really, look, just give me a smile. To get a small smile from you, I'll go that extra mile. I don't need a guffaw, but surely a little giggle's not against the law. I know you feel low and a bit unhappy here, but go with the flow, and I'm sure your blahs will disappear, and so you should smile. Don't make me beg, smile. Just listen to my voice, give in and just smile. Life moves in mysterious ways. You're unhappy and full of malaise. You want to move past the present real fast, while boredom borders your days. Since there's nothing that you are able to do, listen to you know who and smile. A great big old smile, the biggest smile you've ever smiled, the greatest, prettiest of smiles. I say to you, you must smile. Smile, smile, smile.
So tell me, are you working on anything new? How are you staying creative during these strange times?
It's honestly been very tough to be creative during this time. I mean, in addition to just the anxiety and the stress of the world being in this situation that we're in right now, and our country being in this position that we're in right now, it's also difficult about, okay, so like, what can we talk about in this when the situation is changing every day? What is it that I feel that I want to contribute to the discussion when I don't even know what the discussion is right now? Nobody does. And add to all of that, the fact that there are all these other pressures that have sort of come into the mix too. Like, I'm very grateful to continue working. Like, I love the work that I do and it's awesome. And I'm so glad that I've been able to keep it up through this. I'm a faculty member at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And it's wonderful and I love it. And I love the work that I do and I love the people I work with. And it's a fantastic job. But anybody in academia, I'm sure, will also mention this, is that the minute that we all had to go to online-only classes and online-only work, our workload like tripled overnight. And I was already one who was working like, hey, like here's 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week of me working, because like I enjoy it and these are all the things I do, which means that there are more hours per week than I actually physically have time to be doing. So just in terms of like cutting down on the amount of actual writing time I have, that's tricky. But also a lot of the work that I'm doing there too are things that are close enough to the writing that it feels like somewhat creatively fulfilling, but not exactly hitting that spot either. Like there are a lot of orchestrations and new tracking work that I'm doing. And that's great. And I love that work, but it's taking up some of that creative space that coming up with something original would have. And in addition to all of that, with the New York City public schools being out, it means that my preschooler is at home all day long, needing attention and care and love and focus and a playmate, as well as like the normal fatherly stuff that I normally do. So like, it's been a real balancing act to try to figure out just how to be existing and surviving, let alone how to be creative right now. However, it's so important to me. And in the early days of this one, when nothing was happening in this ground, like I just felt that something was missing and there was a lack in my life. And even if I didn't know what I wanted to be doing or saying, or if I was struggling to find the time to do all of this, I still felt that it was essential for me to do it. So since then, I've been revisiting a couple older works, but putting them in this new context. And advancing on some of the things that in new ways, like finding new ways to advance these projects, even in our current circumstances. So one of my projects right now, it's one that I'm a composer on. It's a modern day take on the Medea story, where all of these gods and heroes exist in our present day. And our story follows Medea after her horrific crimes and after she is banished from Manhattan and is in Passaic, New Jersey, where she's doing a court-mandated cabaret act in a seedy hotel bar. The thought occurred to me in quarantine that this could be an easily adjusted thing. Like we could just take it from like, okay, like court mandated sort of a thing to like she's literally under house arrest when the world shut down. So she's already streaming, she's already putting out content, and she decides that she's going to sing the standards, but the standards of her world are very different from the standards of our world. So there's sort of pastiche songs, but also sort of like new regional things that also deal with sort of Greek mythology in a modern era. So it's we just brought on to play the main lead, and we are going through edits like crazy, and we hope to just like put this thing up real quick, which is a very exciting project to me because it means I get to revisit a lot of the work that I did, and it means like doing some edits on it and doing tracking work and sort of seeing what works again and putting it in this new context, and that's exciting to me. The other big project that I'm working on right now is a podcast that I'm producing of like 10 to 20 minute musicals that we're like fully orchestrating and fully putting up and everything like that. We had to switch how we were doing this. Now we're recording it out of people's homes, and like we're home recording studio kinds of things. So we're still sort of progressing with this idea. But a test case was one of the ones that I had written called Ransomware, and I'm the composer of it. And so again, I'm sort of revisiting this work. We're not changing it a whole lot in terms of our new contexts, but it's still been interesting to like just revisit the work and edit it and really go over with a fine-tooth comb and say, oh yeah, that's right. This is cool stuff about how to be creative, and the interesting stuff about how to quickly build the world and make it realize and introduce conflict and all the very writerly things. So these things have they've been critical to sort of getting me back into creating new work, which is slowly but surely starting up again, and I've been very grateful.
What's the first thing you'll do when quarantine is over?
First thing I will do when quarantine is over is take my kid to a play date. That's one of the biggest struggles that have been here, is that she just wants like more human interaction besides just like being with her parents all day long. And she's got some really great friends that I know she would just love to hang out with and run around and be crazy with. So that's the first thing I would do. If we mean the first thing that like I would sort of do for myself, yeah, I'm really tempted to say just sit on a beach with a drink with an umbrella and a stack full of books and just sit on the waves and just watch other people and look at the sand for most of the day. But I would probably need something a little bit less effort, at least in my first go out. So I would say like just sit in a restaurant and relax and take my time with a meal and just enjoy being out among other people again.
Our thanks to Jonathon for taking the time out to speak with us. And we'd also like to thank Adriana Panuzzo, who puts these videos together.
Yay, Adriana. And also, please stay up to date with everything Theater Now. Our handle is @TheaterNowNY. And also you can visit our website, www.tnmy.org, and you can join our mailing list there.
And make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our future Behind the Lab series. Thanks. See you next time.
Bye.
And smile, a great big old smile, the biggest smile you've ever smiled, the greatest, prettiest of smiles. I say to you, you must smile.